So you wouldn't drive across the country on an empty tank, right? But you are busy walking around, feeling emotionally drained, mentally exhausted, physically drained every single day. If you're advocating for your child, you must learn how to care for yourself too, so that you can shift from burnt out advocacy to sustainable, balanced advocacy. Parenting a child with disabilities, or a child with complex needs, or a child with medical challenges or behavioral challenges can lead to a lot of chronic stress. And it's chronic stress that's coming from the fact that you're constantly going and constantly pouring into your child and constantly advocating and constantly making decisions. And it's go, 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 go. And, parenting a child with complex needs also comes with the added challenges of the uncertainty, right? And the fear and the worry about your child's outcome. And many of us have a deficit in terms of the balance between our stress and our resources. And so that is why we get stuck in that chronic stress. Let me share with you the science of stress and what stress is really doing to you, so you can understand why it's important for you to take care of you. So when we are going through stress, and stress could be anything that triggers the limbic system. And the limbic system, it's part of the brain where the amygdala lives. And that's the part of the brain that's in charge of processing emotional triggers and responses to situations that our brain sees as a threat to us, okay? And so usually when a stressful situation happens, the limbic system activates. And then we go into fight or flight or fawn or freeze mode. And that is our body's way of protecting us. So we go into fight, where it's like we are either rushing through it trying to save ourselves, and that's where the adrenaline comes in, or we go into freeze mode, where sometimes we are stuck. We can't even do anything. We are stuck in a state of shock, right? And many of us are constantly triggering this stress response because we are under chronic stress. We are going through situations where we are constantly pouring out of ourselves instead of pouring into ourselves. And so we are constantly triggering this experience where the limbic system activates. Then we are in that fight or flight mode. And then our body is secreting all these hormones like cortisol and glucocorticoids and adrenaline. And these are all things that the body releases to protect us, because the body perceives that we are not safe. And while all this is happening, there's elevated blood sugar, there's increase of our heart rate. Our body is just, our nervous system is in that defense mode, trying to protect us from anything that's being released or anything that's happening that's causing us to feel unsafe. And the long-term effects of this is we go into burnout, or we go into health challenges. So many of us are navigating health challenges that are probably caused by the chronic stress that we are living through. And when I talk about health challenges, I'm talking about things like diabetes, lifestyle issues, adrenaline fatigue, hormonal imbalances, and many more, right? So the stress that we are experiencing every single day, by not taking that time off to slow down and pause and take a breather, is just feeding into a cycle that is eventually going to burn us out and eventually going to make us sick. And so this is why it's very, very important for us to take care of ourselves and fill our cup up. Very important. And there are 5 dimensions of self-care. The first one is physical self-care. And that has to do with sleep, hydration, movement, healthy nutrition, doing things that take care of this container, because your physical body is the container, right? And then we have mental self-care. That's giving yourself that space to slow down and pause and decompress and think And make sure that you're also nurturing your mind, doing things that feed your mind, because you don't want your mind to be obsolete. And then we have emotional self-care, and that has to do with giving ourselves the space to process and grieve and navigate our emotions in a healthy way. And then we have social self-care. We are not islands. We are humans, and we are emotional beings who like to connect with people. So social self-care has to do with having that social connection, having people around you that support you, and people that you can lean on when you're going through stuff. And then we have spiritual self-care that has to do with finding meaning beyond who you are. I am Christian, so I will say believing in a higher power. That's what it is, basically. And these 5 areas of self-care are very important. You cannot just nurture one area and say that, hey, I think I'm done. You have to come up with a sustainable, holistic way of taking care of you. And for many of us, when we think about self-care, we think about luxury. I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm going to go on a vacation. I'm going to go to the spa. And the reality is that as parents who are, taking care of kids with challenges, there is no way we can go on a vacation every day. And that is why at the Parent Forge, we support you to come up with a sustainable self-care plan that you can do every single day, which does not even have to be more than 5 minutes at a time, but can go a long way to start to create that positive cycle of refueling yourself. Because everything we do as parents either drains us or fills us up. And most of the time, we're doing the things that are draining us, constantly pouring into ourselves, mentally, emotionally, physically, into everything else and into everybody else. And so our self-care plan is going to support you to go ahead and start to fill your cup up mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and socially. Because at the end of the day, if we could reverse that cycle of drain, then we can now create the cycle of pouring into ourselves, and then we can stop ourselves from living in that limbic system or in that stress response or in survival mode, and get to the place where we are feeling refreshed, replenished, and nourished in all aspects of our life. So the point of this whole video is just for us to reframe self-care. Self-care is not luxury. Self-care is not selfish. Taking time off to fill your cup up is not you neglecting your child, or it's not you abandoning your child and your family. Self-care is your advocacy fuel. Self-care allows you to sustainably advocate for your child so that you don't burn out. Sustainable advocacy starts with a regulated, resourced parent, and self-care is your opportunity to resource yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, so that you are not drained and you can show up and advocate for your child in a healthy way. So if this hit home for you, please like this video, subscribe, and visit theparentforge.com to start your journey towards powerful, sustainable advocacy with support that centers you. Because we believe that you can be the biggest advocate for your child, but there's no way you can go out there and confidently advocate if you're burnt out and drained and tired and exhausted. So at the Parent Forge, we'll support you to create that plan for you so that you can show up every day confident to advocate for your child. Take care and have a lovely day.